Hey everybody, Thomas Joseph here, and today we are tackling fish. How to cook fish at home without ending up with something like this. Dry, flavorless, rubbery salmon. Well, today I'm gonna share with you a few tips in making fish at home using a really easy method, and I'm sure you're gonna love it. So let's get started. All right, so today, as I said, I'm using salmon, and in front of me here I have 6-ounce portions or fillets of salmon, and these are all center cut. And what does that mean? Well, they come from the center of the fish. Whenever you're cooking fish, multiple portions of fish, what you wanna do is you wanna make sure that your fillets, your portions, are the same size and around the same thickness. This way they will cook nice and evenly and at the same rate across all of the portions that you have. Now I'm gonna season these guys up with some salt and pepper, and I'm gonna use about a teaspoon of coarse salt on each of these. Now you could use your favorite seasoning blend here if you wanted to. You could add a little bit of spice, that would be really fantastic as well. And the cooking method that we're using today is a nice slow and low method of cooking fish. So I have my oven preheated to 250 degrees, a very, very low temperature. And you guys wanna make sure that the rack is kind of situated at the top of the oven, so in the upper third. And the reason we're cooking at a low temperature is to really preserve the integrity of the salmon. What happens in the cooking process when you use a high temperature is the outside of the fish will tend to overcook before the inside becomes nice and tender and fully cooked. And therefore you end up with something that's really dry and rubbery depending on the type of fish that you're cooking. So this low, slow method really works for a variety of different types of fish. Now, salt, pepper, that's it. I'm going right into that oven again, and this is going to slow roast, bake, I would say, for about 20 to 25 minutes until the fish is nice and opaque throughout. And a really easy way to tell whether or not your fish is done, and I'll show you in a minute, is by inserting a thin paring knife into the center of the fillet and pulling it out and feeling if it's warm to the touch. If it's warm to the touch, that means that your fish is nice and cooked. It's a little kind of method that you can use if you don't have one of those digital thermometers on hand. So into the oven. Okay, so while the fish is in the oven, I'm going to make a really simple caper and herb relish to go along with the fish. Now, this pairs particularly well with salmon because salmon is kind of an oily, rich fish, and this kind of helps to cut through all of the fat and richness. Now, I have a bowl here, and to this I'm gonna add a little bit of chopped shallot. Now, shallot is part of the allium family. It has a nice kind of oniony bite to it. If you didn't have a shallot on hand, you could certainly use a little bit of onion. I would say maybe like a sweet onion if you have it, or even some chives would be really great in this relish as well. So this goes into the bottom of my bowl here. To this, I'm going to add capers. Now I have about 2 tablespoons of capers here. These are the brine-packed capers. Now, if you're going to kind of experiment with some new items in your supermarket and you see brine capers, or they even have salt-packed capers, the one thing you need to know about the salt-packed capers is they're really salty, as the name suggests. So you wanna make sure that you give them a really good rinse before you use them. So capers go in. And capers are really fantastic. They have this briny, salty flavor to them that adds like a real punch to this relish. And if you didn't have capers on hand and you were like, I don't feel like buying them, or I'm not really sure that I like them, you could put a little bit of diced up pickle in here as well, and you'd get a similar flavor. A little bit of olive oil, just to kind of moisten up all of the ingredients and adds a little bit of richness to your relish. Extra virgin olive oil would be really great in this application because we want something that's really flavor forward. So that goes in, and I'm gonna add some salt. 2 nice pinches of salt, the zest of 1 lemon, And you want to make sure that you use a well-washed lemon, and if possible, try to buy an organic lemon, especially if you're going to use the zest from the citrus. And I typically do use a lot of the zest from the citrus that I'm using in a dish because I think it just adds really fantastic flavor. If you don't use it, it's kind of like throwing away a really amazing amount of added flavor. So I tend to use it a lot in cooking, and that's partially the reason why I try to buy organic citrus. So this is a small lemon here, and I'll probably get about a teaspoon of lemon zest. And the one thing you want to make sure you're doing when you're zesting lemon or limes or oranges or whatever it is that you're using this grater for is you want to make sure that you're only removing that really top bright layer of zest. You don't want to go into the white part, the pith, because that's a little bit bitter. I need the juice of this lemon as well. Now, lemon is a really kind of signature flavor that goes along with fish. It's really fantastic, but if you wanted to use this relish on other things, you certainly could with lemon, or you could substitute the lemon out for a delicious sherry vinegar or another type of really fantastic flavorful vinegar, and that would be a nice complement to anything from a pork chop to a chicken cutlet to even a steak. So now for the herbs, which is the big portion of this relish. Now I'm using a cup of parsley to start, and I love using parsley. This is flat leaf parsley. You may also see the cousin of flat leaf parsley, which is curly parsley, which has a slightly different flavor, but I actually like to use it in things like this or in salads where you're chopping it up because it has a nice lightness to it, a loftiness to it, which really gives like a nice body or texture to things. So 1 cup of parsley and then a mixture of different herbs. This is mint. I have dill here, which is always really great with fish, and some tarragon. Basil would also be fantastic if you have it on hand. And I'm just piling all this up onto my board. This has been picked and well washed, of course. And what I like to do whenever I'm chopping herbs is I kind of bundle them together in a nice compact bunch with my fingers, and then giving them a nice chop. You don't want this to be too coarse. This isn't a salad, but you don't need to be so fine where we're mincing this up and it creates a paste in the end. So just give it a nice quick chop. If you're unfamiliar with tarragon, which some people actually don't really know or use tarragon, but tarragon has a really nice kind of mild licorice-like flavor, kind of like an anise flavor, which is a really kind of nice complement to the parsley, which is a little grassy, and the mint, which everybody kind of knows what mint tastes like, and dill. It's a nice thing to use, so if you see it in your supermarket and you've never tried it before, give it a try and see if you like the flavor. It really does kind of add dimension to salads and all sorts of proteins and vegetables. So this looks good. I'm gonna put this right into my bowl here. And last but not least, I'm gonna add a little bit of freshly cracked pepper, and there you go. In a matter of a minute or so, you have a really wonderful condiment for your slow roasted salmon. Just give this a mix. And I'm gonna go check on my salmon. So it's been 25 minutes. Our fish is out of the oven. You can see it has a beautiful, vibrant color to it. And again, that's from this kind of slow cooking, slow roasting technique. Now, if you wanted to be really serious about this, you could use a digital thermometer and check the temperature of the fish. And a good temperature range for cooking fish is about 120 to 130 degrees. Now, I've cooked this fish to 120, which should give a nice, silky, kind of almost custardy-like texture to the fish, which is really ideal. It's gonna be so succulent and moist. Now, today I'm serving this with a little bit of asparagus, but you could serve this with whatever vegetable you would like. I'm gonna add some of this wonderful herb relish right over the top. And I always think it's really great to add a nice hit of acidity, some more lemon juice over the top. Now, again, remember all of these tips, you guys, when you're making fish at home, and you will have delicious, succulent fish each and every time you make it. It's a perfect weeknight dinner for you and your family or your friends. So there you go, guys. Now, if you have any kitchen conundrums, reach out to us using the hashtag Kitchen Conundrums. We'd love to hear from you, and enjoy. And as always, guys, click like and subscribe.